I think moving forward, the biggest challenge nonprofits in our community are going to face is sustainability. As cuts continue and development becomes harder and harder because people's pockets are not as deep as they are in other times, it is going to be important that any programming that any of us are doing is sustainable and can either grow or maintain. I have a lot of concerns about nonprofit competition here in our community. We certainly want to make sure that everyone is succeeding, but we also don't want to duplicate services. We talk about that all the time. We don't want anyone to be left behind, but if we're pouring a lot of effort into non-essential services in a time where the funding is flat, that can be detrimental to our community as a whole. Um, we certainly work with a lot of partners who we know are crucial to supporting our work. And I think that's a really wonderful, great thing. But it also means if one of those partners goes under, who picks up that slack? Because we were not the one providing that direct service. We were relying on a partner to do so. And I think that will go in every direction among the nonprofit community. None of us are operating in a silo. And quite frankly, if you are operating in a silo, you should be looking at why that is, because that's not the most effective way to handle this. But I think, as we face all of these changes, political or not, we are really going to have to look at ensuring that every single thing we do connects back to our mission in even a more specific way than we did before, and making sure that there is a long-term sustainability plan for every program, understanding that things may come up that we have to react to and changes may happen that we can't predict. There has to be some effort to make things as sustainable as possible. We on the SHIP team are really looking at, if we were to lose funding in any particular program area, what are the pieces that could be adjusted or scaled down that wouldn't be detrimental to our population? Everything we do is important. So we can't say like, oh, we could let this piece go and it wouldn't matter. That's certainly not going to be the case for, I would think, many of our nonprofits. But we are having to look at the priority of the services that we're providing. So if, for example, case management is our number one priority, we have to do everything we can to preserve that program and make that sustainable. And that might mean that our car purchasing program can accept fewer students next year because there just isn't enough money to go around. We're also trying to look long term at that now, even though right now we are not experiencing any sort of financial crisis. Because if we do, we will need to be able to not just make a quick decision about where funds are going, but also who's going to pick up that slack. So, what partner can do the car purchasing assistance if we can't? Is there a partner? A lot of times, there's not currently someone doing it exactly the way that we are, and that's why we're doing it. But is there someone who would be willing to make a shift to their programming that would still align with their mission, but maybe would pick up some of the clients that we're not able to serve in that way? I think it's really important that every organization is having those sustainability conversations now, because if this year's been hard, it's just going to get harder. And right now, there's a good amount of assistance and support for nonprofits who are having that immediate struggle. But in 2, 3 years, when it's more and more of us and larger amounts, there's not going to be the same level of resource to pick up that slack. And we all have to be willing to work together and come together as a community to figure out how we're going to address that.